All right, next up, we want to talk about a molecule called RNA. RNA is what we call ribonucleic acid, okay? And what we'll do for just a few minutes is I want to look at the differences between DNA and RNA. What is RNA and what is DNA? We've already kind of gone over, but now I want to look at what RNA is and what makes RNA, ribonucleic acid, different than DNA, okay? So RNA is different from DNA in 3 different ways, okay? And it's real super simple. Remember DNA? DNA is 2 strands, right? RNA is only 1 strand. So DNA was double-stranded. RNA has only 1 strand, so it's half the width, okay? So it's only about a micrometer in diameter, right? Remember all that? We talked about that DNA on average is about 2 micrometers in diameter. This is only about 1 micrometer in diameter, okay? RNA also contains a base called uracil, okay? In DNA, we had the base thymine. So you will not, and we'll see this a little bit later in some more videos, you will not see uracil, okay? You will not see uracil in DNA. But conversely, you will not see thymine in RNA, okay? Uracil replaces thymine. So where you think you would have a T in the RNA, you will have a U, you will have a uracil, okay? They're very chemically similar, but they're different enough that they're 2 different molecules, but they're very similar chemically, and they will bond with adenine, okay? Now, again, it's the only time that you will see uracil is in the RNA. You will never see it in the DNA, and conversely, you'll never see thymine in RNA as well. You'll see only uracil. And then the last thing is that RNA has the sugar ribose. Hence the name ribonucleic acid, where DNA has that sugar deoxyribose. Remember that? It's deoxyribonucleic acid. And RNA is ribonucleic acid. So there is a difference, okay? Now, what is the difference? This molecule right here, the sugar. All right, if you look at ribose here, these gray ones are carbons, these white ones are hydrogen, these red ones are oxygen. Well, if you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reds here, don't you? 5 oxygen molecules. We'll go over here on this one. I got 1, 2, 3, only 4. So this deoxyribose, hence the name deoxyribose, is called deoxyribose because it is missing an oxygen. Hence the name deoxy without an oxygen. So the only difference between ribose and deoxyribose is basically 1 extra oxygen, okay? So that's one big difference between the 2. Okay? Now, let's look at the structure of it. The structure again, if we pull it from DNA, it's only 1 strand. The phosphate sugar backbone, but again, remember the sugar is ribose, okay? Ribose sugar. So it's a ribose phosphate. And then you have cytosine, adenine, guanine, but you have uracil. Now, if this were DNA, it would be thymine, wouldn't it? But since this is RNA, we have the base uracil instead of thymine, okay? So that's the basic structure of RNA, okay? Now, as far as the different kinds, and we're going to see this in greater detail a little bit later when we start talking about how we make proteins, okay? Protein synthesis. There are 3 basic types of RNA that we're actually going to use in the next step, which is protein synthesis, okay? The first one is called messenger RNA, mRNA. Now, you've heard a lot about that here in the last few years with these COVID vaccines that they've been creating, where they're using mRNA to help us make proteins in the body. We'll get to some of that a little bit later. But what it is, it's the message carrier. Remember, DNA is very, very long. We only need a small piece of the DNA to help us make a protein. But what we're going to use is this thing called messenger RNA. It's going to carry the information to those ribosomes. Remember, the ribosomes are the things that make the proteins. It's going to carry that information to the ribosomes, okay? The genetic information. The DNA is not used. We make kind of like a photocopy with mRNA, and we send that off to the ribosome so the ribosomes can build what they need to build, okay? Then you have ribosomal RNA, or rRNA. Now, rRNA is a part of the ribosome with protein. And it's kind of weird that ribosomes that make proteins are made of proteins and they have rRNA in them. So it's kind of making themselves, which is kind of what we're doing anyway, right? But our ribosomal RNA is what makes up the ribosomes, and that's where you'll find it. And then the last kind of RNA is called transfer, and the name tells you. Transfer RNA, or tRNA. It's going to transfer some stuff. What is it transferring? Amino acids. You remember in proteins that there are amino acids that build proteins? Y'all who've ever worked out and have ever talked about proteins and amino acids, they're the building blocks of proteins, right? They're going to be brought to the ribosomes by the tRNA. And again, we'll see this when we look at transcription and translation of protein synthesis. They're brought to the ribosomes where they're assembled, okay? So the ribosomes are sitting there, they've got their information, and now the tRNA brings in those amino acids to be put together to be assembled to make a protein. And again, we'll get to all that in much greater detail when we get to protein synthesis, okay? So, again, real simple, real straightforward information about RNA, okay? Again, if you have any questions on this, ask. Do not hesitate, do not wait, okay? Because if you wait, you're going to be in trouble, okay? All right, see you for the next video.